Alright, so October is my favorite month out of the entire year. Not only because it's my birthday month and I'm a spoiled only child, but Halloween is just the best. And what better way to kick off the Halloween season than with some scary movies? This is the first ever episode for what will become the annual Sully Stream Spooky Special. In this October series, we're going to cover some horror movies that I just keep coming back to for one reason or another. Maybe I think they don't get enough credit, or maybe I think they flew under the radar, or maybe I just find them unintentionally hilarious. And yes, because my name is Sully Streams, all the movies we talk about will be available on a streaming platform in the United States at the time this video is posted. I know, I'm the best. So let's kick this series off the right way and start talking about The Faculty. So The Faculty is one of those movies where I'm absolutely ashamed to admit how long it took me to get around to checking it out. When I was watching it for the first time recently, I could tell that younger me would have been totally obsessed with it for a bunch of different reasons. If you don't know what this one's about, it basically just follows a group of high schoolers who witness some bizarre and weird events on campus and start thinking that their teachers are a group of aliens sent from outer space to take over the human race. I know, we've all felt like that from time to time in high school. This movie's basically a more tame and pubescent version of The Thing, which is my favorite horror movie of all time. There's actually a bunch of similarities between The Thing and this movie, and I'm not mad about it. But the execution and the setting in The Faculty is so different than what's being done in The Thing that it doesn't feel like a cheap remake and can actually pay homage to the movie that clearly inspired it. You know, a species of alien infiltrates a group of people, once it kills somebody it can look like its victim, and the aliens have one giant weakness. But as opposed to fire in The Thing, it's actually dehydration in this movie. And there's actually a fantastic sequence in this movie that's very reminiscent of that interrogation scene. But instead of testing everybody's blood with fire to see who's is reacting to it, all of the kids have to take this drug that one of them makes, and a side effect of that drug is dehydration. So if you're an alien and you take that drug, you're gonna die effectively. And all of those homages and references wrapped up under this high school setting really works for me, and I think makes it stand on its own 2 feet. Before we go any further, we have to talk about the cast for a second, because this is one of those 90s movies where just everybody's in this thing. You look it up and the cast list just keeps on going. Josh Hartnett, Elijah Wood, Salma Hayek, Clea Duvall, Jon Stewart, Usher. I mean, what? There's so many of those 90s movies that are just jam-packed with big names, and that doesn't really happen that much anymore. That's why everybody's salivating over that next Christopher Nolan movie, Oppenheimer. Everybody and their mother is in that thing. But this cast works really well together and helps to provide like an overly 90s feel. This movie really is like a time capsule for that decade, especially when you see that the guy that wrote it is Kevin Williamson, the guy that did Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then when you see it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, you know exactly what type of movie you're getting yourself into here. There's probably going to be some practical effects, a bunch of different meta jokes, and a ton of angsty rock songs perfect for the soundtrack. This is one of those movies where I don't think it's a very intense R rating. Like, there's definitely a lot of violence and it deals with some drug use, so it earns it there, but it just wouldn't have been as good if it was PG-13 due to the language restrictions. Like, you need all of the bad language and the swearing in here. It's not just some add-on to make the script feel a little bit more edgy. How these characters interact and talk to one another is a big reason as to why this movie flows so well, and we see them as an accurate representation of high schoolers going up against this like local alien invasion. It's actually kind of like The Cabin in the Woods in that regard. Every character in this movie embodies a different teenage stereotype. You know, you've got the jock, the outcast, the nerd, the burnout, the popular one. All the usual suspects are in here, and it makes it easy to understand the character dynamic between all of them. And getting back to the cast here for a bit, they're one of the best parts about the movie, obviously. Josh Hartnett and Clea Duvall especially eat up every last bit of screen time they have here. Hartnett commands the screen as like the drug dealer deadbeat of the school that's a lot smarter than he lets on. Even though he refuses to apply himself during all of his studies, there's plenty going on in that noggin of his to make him a decently complex character. Duvall plays the misunderstood outcast of the group and ends up being one of the most resourceful and badass characters in the entire movie. And Robert Patrick is awesome in the villain role as the high school football coach. He already seems like a total jackass that's going to make you run laps until you puke already, and then you turn him into like this alien beast, and it's just the icing on the cake. It really helps to make this movie just a fun ride from start to finish. The Faculty is now streaming on HBO Max if you want to check it out, and I highly recommend that you do. This is going to be one of those scary movies that I keep coming back to whenever I have an excuse to rewatch it around the Halloween season. It's just, there's a lot to like with this movie, and and you forgive any missteps it might take because it's just such a blast to watch from start to finish. So anyway, thanks for watching me talk about The Faculty and why it's important to me. If you've seen this movie before, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And if you like videos like this one where I go back and talk about scary movies that are important to me, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel because the first annual Sully Stream Spooky Special is just getting started. I'll see you guys at the next video.